Bob Kerrigan back with you on the Law Show. We have watched and hope you have participated in our discussion by viewing it. Our talk with Ms. Roberts about the Medicare mistakes that people make, the costly mistakes, or book 10 costly Medicare mistakes. But as our producer Greg asked me after this program segment ended, the second segment, he said, "Am I supposed to understand this now?" And the answer is, no, you're not supposed to understand it. So why is that uh, we can't understand something as basic as our national health care for people who have reached retirement age, paid into the system all their life, and look forward to having some assurance that in their later years in life that they'll have adequate medical coverage to protect them and their spouse when they reach 65. So why is it that we have something that the average person just cannot understand? I'll be candid with you, and as I've been challenged before not to be the brightest bulb on the tree, I'm telling you, I worked hard trying to figure this out and got just enough into it and have just enough understanding of it to be totally confused. So I don't know how the average person can ever figure this out. It's just a hopeless endeavor. But why is that? Well, it's obvious to me as I read more about this that this was all designed this way. It was designed to be confused because the more confused the consumer is, the better chance they've got to sell you something through ancient celebrities like Joe Namath or Pat Boone or any of these other people that are advertising to our seniors as if they're all senile, telling them things like this: you deserve these benefits. Call this number immediately. And by the way, you can't ever read the small print on the screen. And if you would, you'd probably never make the phone call. Call this number immediately and find out if your Medicare Advantage plan is giving you the benefits that you deserve, that you've earned. These are your benefits. You need to call and find out about them. What kind of benefits are we talking about? Because, the average person watching TV, if it's free, then fine, well, give me a little bit more information about this, okay? So you call and they talk to you about it. They don't really tell you the fine print in their oral presentation to you, but it's out there, and I'll discuss the fine print in a minute. But you call or you respond to it and you think, well, I'll get free eyeglasses, or I'll get a free hat that says I was advantaged, or I'll get, what else do they offer? A free ride to your doctor. If you can find one that's in their system, that is, but you get a free ride. How about this? A gym membership. Well, nobody really wants one right now till we get the COVID virus straightened out. But so how are they able to do this? This doesn't make any sense. They're giving away stuff. It's free. It's absolutely free. Well, not quite. Not quite. Because in order for them to do this, they've got to cut someplace else. They've got to figure out a way to make a profit. Well, how did they get in this position in the first place? Lobbyists to the Congress to create something which in typical congressional fashion is the opposite of what it's named. The Medicare Advantage Plan, arguably, at least arguably, is a Medicare disadvantage plan, depending on what happens to you. Biggest trap in these Medicare Advantage plans, the biggest trap is that you face very serious illness or disease within the year that you have that plan. You're stuck with it. And then the fine print pops up. The huge deductibles, like $300 for an ambulance ride, and on and on. The big deductibles come up that you've got to pay yourself. Then you find out that they can drop your doctor without ever telling you or giving you an option or anything else. That doctor is no longer on our preferred list, our preferred provider list, or whatever they call it. And there's a number of other disadvantages that I'm going to talk about in a minute that really are not understood by people, not even by physicians. Many physicians who receive Medicare, they don't know the subtleties of this. They're good doctors. They're working hard taking care of their patients. They're putting up with an avalanche of paperwork and this insane electronic medical record statute requirement that has been a hopeless mess and a disaster. They're dealing with all of this billing problems, administrative problems, paperwork problems, and they're supposed to figure out what's going on with Medicare. No, they're not supposed to figure it out. Okay, they can't figure it out. The average patient can't figure it out. So if you decide that you're going to leave traditional Medicare, just for what it's worth, I highly recommend that you don't do that, that you stay with traditional Medicare. But that if you venture out of that Medicare for some of these other coverages, supplements or whatever it is, and Medicare Advantage plans, you're going to have to get a broker like Ms. Roberts, because Ms. Roberts is an expert at this and understands how to compare all of these programs. So you get 30 or 40 major pitchers or sellers of insurance, and this middle layer of insurance called an Advantage plan. How do you separate those out? You can't. I can't do that. I've worked hard at just trying to understand what these problems are. I can't do that. You can't do it. So you need to get a broker. Well, that's a whole cottage industry now of middlemen that are, and of necessity, brokers trying to help the consumer figure out which one of these pitch programs are the best ones for them. Okay, so they make a commission. That's how they earn a living. It's not dishonest. It's not unethical. It's perfectly ethical. It's perfectly honest, and it's a necessity if you're going to venture out into this Medicare Advantage marketplace or Medigap or supplement insurance or whatever. It's just so confusing that the average citizen can't do it. My recommendation is sign up for Medicare, stay with Medicare, because in the end, you may get trapped with a Medicare Advantage plan that blows up in terms of costs that you're going to have to pay. It's been said, and I think accurately so, that the best potential person to have a Medicare disadvantage plan, that's Freudian, a Medicare Advantage plan, the best person to do it is a perfectly healthy person. That's the best person to have it, because then you get free eyeglasses, okay? And you get a free hat or a gym membership or a ride in a taxi or whatever they're offering, that it's all so wonderful and it's just such great benefits. Well, if you never have to make a health claim in that year, then you have beat the odds. But to me, it's like a casino. You can go, and when I was young, I had friends, and they claimed they always won at the casinos. And I figured that wasn't true, but it just, they seemed so adamant about it that they just didn't talk about their losses, okay? But these Medicare Advantage plans it's kind of like a casino. You may be fine. You may win, okay? You may actually come out ahead in the year that you have that plan. But if you start to lose, you may not be able to leave the table. You may lose and lose and lose and lose. And all of the fine print that picks up their benefit in selling that plan, which allowed them to give some people free eyeglasses and some people a ride in a taxi. That is the problem with the Medicare Advantage plans. Why are we in this shape in this country? It's because when there is so much money involved, like Medicare, it attracts the most scurrilous kind of lobbying and pushing and pulling to get in between the person who needs the health care and the person providing the health care. It's really an impediment for people to have a good relationship with their physician. With Medicare, they're not going to cut you off from a doctor. And you're not going to be surprised with hidden costs that you did not know about relative to healthcare. Again, I make this point that if you find yourself in a situation where you have a serious illness or disease within one of these years, and you have this Medicare Advantage plan, which is the plan you have. You don't have Medicare. Understand that. You do not have Medicare. You have Medicare Advantage. You have a plan that is interfaced between you and the payer, which is the United States government, through the Medicare plan. That's who you have. You have the Medicare Advantage insurance company that you're dealing with. And we all know our own history with insurance companies is they love to collect premiums and they love to advertise how much they care about you and how much they love you and how much they want to be a part of your family and all the other things that they do and how much money they're going to save you and on and on and on and on, all of which is nonsense. But they ingratiate themselves to you through this medium of advertising. And so you think, well, this is they're really going to be there for me. And they really are what they claim to be, which they're not. Okay, so the fine print is what just kills you with these Medicare Advantage plans and Medigap and supplement and all that. You just need to find out, which is so hard to do. I tried to do it, tried to understand how, as a consumer, can you possibly sort through this? And the answer is it's very difficult for you to do that. There was an article written by a medical doctor, I'm going to find it here in a minute, that talked about his experience with these Medicare plans and the problems that he encountered. This is from Dr. Brent Schillinger, who is a former president of Palm Beach County Medical Society, and he pointed out a host of potential problems with Medicare Advantage plans. He said the care can actually end up costing more to the patient and the federal budget than it would under ordinary Medicare, particularly if one suffers from a very serious illness or disease. Some private plans are not financially stable and may suddenly cease coverage. This happened in Florida in 2014 when a popular Advantage plan called Physicians United Plan was declared insolvent. Boom, out of business. One may have difficulty getting emergency or urgent care due to rationing. The plans only cover certain doctors and often drop providers without cause, breaking the continuity of the care. Members have to follow plan rules to get covered care. You need to know what those plan rules are. They're prohibitive in some cases. There are always restrictions when choosing doctors, hospitals, and other providers, which is another form of rationing that keeps profits up for the insurance company but limits patient choice. It can be difficult to get care away from home. The extra benefits offered can turn out to be less than promised. And plans that include coverage for Part D prescription drug costs may ration certain high-cost medications, particularly for diabetics. Not to be too negative about this, which I have been today, I'll just tell you that when you're hopelessly confused, it's just like I used to say, don't vote for a constitutional amendment that you don't understand. Don't go into a Medicare Advantage plan unless you really understand the effect it's going to have if you get seriously ill or have a disease, an accident or something, require medical care. Bob Kerrigan for Kerrigan Estes, Rankin, McLeod, and Thompson will be back in just a moment.